Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here with Martin, our head of product, and we're here with another AMA series. As you can tell, I'm representing my two favorite companies in crypto right now. Um, we're doing it a bit differently today because I think the first two questions that we're going to answer are a bit better directed to Martin. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to ask the question. We're just going to dive right into it. He's going to answer the first two. Last two are more targeted towards me. So without further ado, let's just get right into this, answering some community questions. So Martin, question number one is gas and toll, which, big thing. Please explain how it's going to work. Could you also give a possible timeline of implementation, sir?
Sure. So last year, actually, we started experimenting with that, as we announced that that's our one of our key features on AngelBlock protocol. And it's challenging, but also hopefully rewarding. Meaning that first, we didn't find any existing solution on the market that will allow us to use it first, but at the same time, that gives us competitive advantage once we implement it. Also, we do have initial proof of concept to make it right, but from this initial proof of concept, we know that it won't be easy. So we'll be approaching it after implementing the other key features on the platform, which were just unlocked, like guys, S0 fundraisers, milestone unlocks, etc. And how it's going to work. So basically, we see the biggest opportunity of implementing that while we going to work fully cross-chain. So allowing to transfer both investment and then startups tokens across different chains. And then toll is gonna play a crucial role in gas fee coverage. And also, it will allow us to batch transactions, especially investment transactions, as we observe that when we open the fundraise, there are more investors than towards the end of it. So, and what I mean by batching, then we can pack as many transactions as possible into one single block, actually trigger them when we have a big enough batch, and therefore save you some gas costs. So gas in Tolos, once again, cross-transaction, but also cross-chain transactions, but also gas cost optimizations. And I mean, it's hard to say when exactly we're going to release that. We need to do some more experiments because, as I'm saying, this is like a quite complex feature, and we must do it right. But I'd expect that with current trend this year, that should be launched. So.
And I think important to add just that, A0 has increased in complexity, and we have been, as you mentioned, fully focused on that. So if our priorities change, we probably will be trying to approach things differently. Because this year, I'm just saying, like, our community is going to say this year is super vague because it's only March still. So, but you're probably hearing this in April. But just a bit of a side note. So it is a priority. We'll do everything we can to push it out as quickly as we can. But as Martin mentioned, there aren't any existing solutions like this, so everything has to be in-house. It's just that simple. And in-house always takes time. Like, you can spin out an ERC20 contract. I can do it on my knee riding a bus, but that's just because there's so many, and all these standards are already implemented, and there's so many dev tools that you can use to do that. But with what we're doing and that's been the case for everything, like, we just haven't had 99% of what we've been doing hasn't been done before. And that's just, it increases complexity, increases resources, increases time, sadly.
Yeah, and at the same time, Alex will be answering some of the questions. I think we're trying to navigate and manage and use the opportunity that market creates right now. So there are some things that unexpectedly pop up, and we just have to adjust better to either startups onboarding or other new exciting things. and then bigger chunks of work like long-term wins. We don't lose focus on them, but we consciously must postpone some of them.
Absolutely. Let me hit you with another one, Martin.
Oh
So
yeah.
question number 2 for you is, how much from fully decentralized, or it should be how much from a fully decentralized platform is AngelBlock right now? What needs to be done to have a fully on-chain experience, both for startups and investors?
Hmm. Well, that's a multi-layer question. I think our core functionality, which is fundraising and then token releases, is decentralized right now. However, it's like creating a network requires both sides of the equation. And onboarding startups, which we'll be talking about, is quite demanding process, like the entire due diligence process, etc. What is missing currently is actually the third actor in this game. It's not only between investors and startup, but also validators. And right now, I would say that the centralized part is AngelBlock itself, playing validator role for startups onboarding. After onboarding, when the fundraising starts, milestone unlocks, etc., that's fully given to investors, so they decide if milestone will be unlocked, postponed, etc. But onboarding itself must be still delegated to the community. But obviously that requires some proper preparation. As you know, guys, like Wikipedia, that's a service that we're all using. But I think that it's very limited amount of actual creators on Wikipedia that really take care of all the articles, take care of the quality and constant improvements of the content that is posted there. So I think we'll soon select some of the willing and experienced community members that will add us this value, and then we'll be going closer towards full decentralization. Right, I think we have two more, and they are better suited for you, Alex. So
So
yeah,
easy. You mean easy. You wanted to say easy.
oh no, more complex. So first one is from all the startups announced for a raise, what is the plan for listing? Delta Prime, other startups that um, we've been checking the initial sentiment. What's the plan now?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good question. It's one that I wanted to raise myself. So we will be making a few changes in how we approach everything. Like, we do take community feedback pretty seriously. We also understand that, the market is changing, which is something that we've all been waiting for. But to get back to the question, then I'll raise some additional points to it. So it's hard to say exactly who is next, because right now we're dealing with a lot of startups. A lot of them are in a different stage, I would say, stage of preparation for what makes them actually able to raise. It doesn't matter whether it's seed or whether it's like a community round that has, shorter unlocks. Like, everyone's at a different stage. So we're probably going to be announcing more startups that are going to be available somewhere down the road. And we're not going to put any blockers or any limits, essentially. If we find a startup that we like, even though we announced 3 earlier, but they're just not there yet to raise, but they will be at some point. If we find someone that we like, I think it might even be happening right now as we speak, that we just find interesting, and we think that the community is going to benefit from participating on a raise like this, we're just going to list them like ASAP. And that's kind of the approach that we have developed over the last few weeks. It's something that I believe, especially in these market conditions, is going to be beneficial to everybody involved. So I would just say that expect more to come in the coming weeks and months, definitely. I'm never going to say like right now, like, oh, these are definitely the next ones to raise because plans change. That's why we also included Delta Prime as part of this question, even though it was a totally different question. I first talked like I'm a pre-seed investor in Delta Prime, and it's currently March or almost April 2024, and that's an investment from, I don't know, like November 2022. I want to say like it's been a really long time, and they just haven't been in a place where they've decided, okay, now we want to open it up to more of a community round, right? Because they've been busy building, their protocol. Their protocol is already available, and that's something that happens, right? Like I never think that it's our job or even our place to kind of jump in and say like, no, like you said you were going to raise, do it now, even though it messes up all of your plans. Like we're not trying to be a problematic party, whether it's, for investors, community members, or for startups, right? Like we're here to be a partner. Like we're here to help everybody. And the minute that we start like demanding things of whether it be investors or community or startups, that's when issues really start to arise. So I had a call with Delta Prime. I want to say like a month ago. We talked about a lot of these things. I reached out to Peter, who's the CEO. I want to say like a week ago again. I think right now, as it stands, uh, April, like first part of April or maybe mid-April, is a date that they are targeting for a more open round, which obviously is going to be on AngelBlock as well. If it changes to the third or fourth week of April or first week of May, like knock on wood, hopefully, like I want to put more money into that myself. So I hope that's not the case. But we've been discussing April very recently. So I know that's one of those raises that's been as upcoming on a while on our protocol page. But then again, it has nothing to do with internal delays on our end, right? It's just kind of this approach of, hey, we want to work with you, but if there are things that you need to do to get to that point, to get to that level, like, there's very little that we can do. And we don't want to be that player. We don't want to be that player that says, no, like you said 2 months ago, so it has to be 2 months ago, because that's not how you create long-term business relationships in any world, not just in crypto. So soon, if everybody's here
Yeah.
from the A0 community, the famous soon. But I do mean soon. Like Delta Prime, like I'll reach out to Peter again to see if we're set for April, because it's just one that I'm super excited about. Like it's that simple. And from all the startups announced to raise, just to summarize that question, which one will be listed first? To be honest, like I think it's going to be, if I were to bet right now, it's probably going to be none of the ones that we announced that we're going to start raises. But it just kind of shows you on how many different levels we are approaching the biz dev aspect, and I think that's really important. I think some of the biggest failures, especially in crypto, which is a space that moves incredibly fast, are if you are unwilling to change and adapt to current market conditions. And over the last 2, 3, 4 weeks, all the calls that I had with external partners, all the calls I had with internal team members, they've really focused around this aspect of market is changing, things are moving faster, we need to move faster. What is the decision-making process and what is the new strategies that we're going to implement? So that being said, it's going to be new startups, it's going to be more startups. We simply are adapting to what's going on the market right now. There's no other way around it. We're going to be moving faster, and the first startup to list might not be anything that we've announced previously, right? And it's also that aspect of, we know, like for example, Darkverse, right? There's a few other A0 EFP projects that are in my mind right now that I want to say right now, but there's a few more. We know we want to work with them, like that's a given. Like everybody at AngelBlock is super excited about what Darkverse is building. That being said, we wanted to get an announcement. We want community members to know what to expect at some point in the future. But that being said, we know they need to put in the work. They shared the roadmap with us. We've talked about it at length, and we want them to be sure that when they are raising on AngelBlock, they are doing it knowing that they are ready, right?
Mhm.
And what ready means for them is maybe something different than what ready means for me or for Common or for anybody else, right? So I just I don't want to force anyone's hand. So it's things that are a bit further off, like Darkverse. Whenever they're ready, we're ready for them. We welcome them. I would love to see the Darkverse raise happen, sooner rather than later. But that being said, as someone who has done fundraising in this space for a long time, I know that some things just take time, right? So it's all about these aligning these moving pieces, nothing else.
Yeah, you actually answered next question from my list, which is what delays and what obstacles are. But I have one more, which is
But I
uh,
would love to talk about that. So if you can read the full question, and I'll touch briefly on the first part because that's actually really important, and I think our community should know about this.
right. Okay. So, what do you think delays listing on our protocol, and what mistakes or obstacles are commonly seen in startup raise preparations?
Sure. So um, to briefly touch upon this, it's one thing that we've really noticed is and it's like not to get too philosophical, but a big part of this is a big problematic part of life as well. If you're familiar with Warren Buffett and his story, he doesn't have any of his degrees hanging in his office. The only kind of certificate slash degree that he has in his office is from a communications course that he did, like not communications like in the United States college definition of communications, which is a journalism degree, like literally communication, like what is the basis of communication? How should we communicate properly? What words are you using? And that's the only one that he actually hangs up because he claims that it changed his life more for the better than anything else. And it really is that in this space as well. It's communication. If we find a lot of startups who are, from what we can read about them, they're very interesting. But there have been a few startups in the past who are very poor communicators, and it takes them an incredibly long time to, first of all, get back to us. Even if they're the ones reaching out to us, then it takes them long to get back to us, which is also kind of an interesting dynamic. And then the next step is getting all of the necessary information for a listing. So we would never list a startup with incomplete info because then a potential contributor, potential investor, if you do not have the full info, then you cannot make a objective decision regarding that startup, right? So again, that is also an aspect of communication.
Oh, yeah.
So if we can't get all of the info, that's very problematic. Another thing is milestones. Like we've dealt with some very vague milestones, which are also problematic. Milestones are not meant to be problematic because milestones are simply a different governance approach to what a startup's roadmap is, right? Like milestones are not made up out of thin air. Milestones are supposed to be like, hey, what are you planning over the next 3, 6, 12 months? Let's formulate investment governance around that, right? And we help in that entire process because and that's one red flag, like we've also had startups that we've talked to where they're like, oh, but we don't have anything on our roadmap. I'm like, then why are you raising? Like, then what's the point? Like, what do you need capital for? If you don't have, like, that's a huge red flag. If someone says, like, oh, but we don't have milestones because we don't have anything on the roadmap. So you're just raising money to, I don't know, like increase salaries. Like that's a pretty serious red flag in this space. So
Yeah.
I would just say communication is a very very big aspect of it. And it's a problem. And I've been always been in crypto. I've been in crypto in 2016, and when I had jobs before crypto, like it was communication was also a pretty big blocker in some deals in other spaces. So comms is always a big part of this. And I'll just jump into the next part of the question, or do you want to ask it formally,
I mean,
Martin?
basically, I would add just to what you said, guys. In all the haze that is happening right now in the market, guys, do your research properly. Just not follow the hype, because yeah, information is key, and then you can read between the lines who's really delivering project and who's just pretending to be delivering project. So
Yeah.
that's what we're trying to do right now, and then to publish information that we get. So yeah, communication and research. Yeah, but formally, and why do you only insist on having early stage startups, especially now in the beginning of the bull, which might lead up to longer vesting cliffs that might take us into the next bear?
So I love loaded questions like this, and if I were, and I was gonna curse, but I'll just say if I were a naughty boy, I would just say we don't insist on just that, but I'll obviously elaborate. Uh, Personally, and this is statistically and factually true. The best multiples are done on early stage startups. Like, I'm not rediscovering the wheel with this. And this has always been, like, if you read the white paper that I wrote in like early 2021, which is probably still somewhere available online, like you will read like this protocol is meant to decentralize and gain access to early stage deals that you would not be able to be a part of in the past. Like, we're doing exactly what we said what we would be doing for 3+ years. So I definitely don't want a lot of you to be surprised. Like, why are you doing exactly what you said you would be doing for 3 years and not doing something new? Like, bro, sorry, but we've been pretty clear about that. But we're not. We're definitely not. You know, like, I think the script raise, like, yeah, like the vesting is kind of long, but you literally have a greater multiple, and
Yeah.
the vesting, like, nobody knows the future, so nobody knows how long this bear market's going to be. But if we look at the previous 2 cycles, like, you're still going to get 100% of your tokens if the cycle is similar to the last 2 cycles, so 2017 and 2020. Like, you're still getting all of your tokens well before those cycles ended. So also don't see a problem with that, to be honest. We don't want to compete with like a bunch of launch pads where all you get, like 100% of the product offering, is tokens that are, immediately unlocked or unlocked in very, very short term. That's never what we've been about. That's also not the target user that we're going after. But that being said, I think that the best thing that we can do, and it's something that we are implementing, is having a mixed batch, and basically the end user being able to decide where they want to allocate capital. Is it like, oh, like startup X that I find really, really interesting, but the vesting is 10 months, right? And 10 months is not long vesting. As someone who's been doing this for quite a bit, let me tell you. Or project Y, where you get 50% at TGE and there's 3 months vesting, right? But maybe you like it a bit less. Who knows? I don't know. So I think having just basically a selection is what's most important. But we're definitely not going after something that is just early stage. And early stage is also a very, very, very vague term, right? Because you can have 50% unlock at TGE, with the next 3 months being fully unlocked, but the team might be delaying TGE for the next year. So you take a better deal taking a longer vesting, but the TGE is literally like in a week or 2 weeks. So it also depends, like, how you are approaching vesting and how the team is approaching vesting. And that's something, that it comes out in conversations with teams, right? It's as simple as that. And it's something that I mentioned earlier, like, plans change. Like, Delta Prime is a great example. Like, I think they were initially planning to do a TGE, like, I know it was last year, but it was like, I don't know, September, October, November, something like that. Like, we were very close to listing them because they're like, hey guys, like, we want to do TGE next month, but plans simply change, right? And obviously they had to delay TGE. They approached it a bit differently, and they did what they think is best for them, and I applaud them for it. Like, at the end of the day, you need to do what's best for your individual project. But we are also looking. We're talking with a few projects, and Martin and I have been talking about essentially a new product offering on AngelBlock, which is very much in line with what we've always wanted it to be, which is like the place for deals on chain. Like it's like that's always been our goal. So we're not announcing anything now, but we have been talking about this, and we are talking with a few partners who may utilize this feature, which is essentially AngelBlock OTC, which is a non-custodial on-chain way of doing tokens that have already launched, right? But at greater discounts. There's, sorry to break it to people who don't like vesting, but in big OTC deals, there's also vesting. It's just structured a bit differently. But you can basically, like, what we would love to happen is you would be able to purchase tokens OTC fully on chain of tokens that have already launched, but you're buying them like usually OTC at discounts, right? So whether it's, 20, 30, 40%. So negative 40% of a market value of X, even with 3-6 month vesting at the beginning of the bull market, in my book, that's still like a really, really good deal. Like I would use that myself, to be honest. So, and one of the reasons that I don't use a lot of OTC is because a lot of it is still like pen and paper and using a third party for escrow. And like, I'm a fan of on-chain decentralized solutions where the protocol does all of that. And I don't need to trust somebody that I've never met in order to manage, large sums of money. So that's a bit, us telling some additional things that we didn't even plan on mentioning.
Yeah, I'd say just that the protocol, AngelBlock's protocol is ready to do so. So we can our escrows can accept the tokens and then either withdraw them to investors upon the milestone unlock or with additional vesting. So yeah, if you know the startup that you would like to see as OTC offering on AngelBlock, you're part of the community, just let us know or let them know, and yeah, this can also happen.
Oh, and let me say this, actually, that's a good idea. For every startup, whether it's for early stage or even for OTC deals, if you bring us a startup and we actually process them for listing, like I'm gonna give away some thol, like a nice bag of thol for you. So some referral rewards for you all.
Nice fat bag of toll.
Precisely.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up just so our marketing department doesn't kill us for going over time again, because they do need to edit all this. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We're keeping our promise of doing these more regularly, bringing more people from inside the team to kind of talk about what we're doing and what the current plans are. Martin, thank you for your time. I know it's late where you are, so thank you again. And happy birthday to Martin, who's celebrating his birthday in an undisclosed location very, very soon.
Thank you very much.
All right. Cheers,
Take
everyone.
care. Bye.